Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show. Adam, welcome to the program, my friend. How are you doing?
Awesome, thank you. No, I think you just got cut off there by your own sound effects on my end. Man, I love StreamYard. I love connecting with you like this. Thank you for hosting me today and for this conversation, for the opportunity to talk to your audience about Homefront Battle Buddies.
Absolutely. And right there, Adam, Homefront Battle Buddies. We are so excited to talk about that because, I mean, right now, and let's kind of let's set the stage, right? Why this is so important. When you look, especially, and I've seen this in my circles, I'm from upstate New York originally, and it's in the greater Fort Drum area. And I have a lot of friends who were veterans, and they were crushed after what they just saw happen here this past year with our just up and leaving in Afghanistan, literally looking around and asking one another, was it all for nothing? And a lot of people have really faced some dark demons, and it's really hit the area hard. So I know from my hometown, Adam, it's an area where we really are facing some personal struggles, and we're looking for solutions. And a lot of people out there are looking for solutions. And you, along with your cohort there, Ed Vallejo, you guys have gone ahead and got Homefront Battle Buddies, which is giving veterans an alternative versus the go into a regular pain pill pusher doctor and actually try to resolve some of these issues. So let's dig into this. What are Homefront Battle Buddies, and what has been the response thus far?
Well, I want to start with a personal story, if you don't mind, because this is very personal to me. I was in Fallujah in 2004 with the Marine Corps. I was in combat. I don't want to, try to burnish my military credentials like, I've been through the shit, but I've seen enough and I've experienced enough that I've dealt with PTSD myself from that experience. And when I went to the VA, I was living in DC at the time. I was active with Iraq Veterans Against the War, and Washington, D.C. VA Hospital, the flagship of VA healthcare. And I went in there because I was having trouble sleeping. I had a little involuntary memory recall. Sometimes I'd have nightmares. I wouldn't even remember them, but I'd wake up in the middle of the night, sitting bolt upright, like, oh, where's my uniform and my rifle? I gotta be somewhere, that kind of thing. And I just wanted someone to help me sleep through the night. And I walked out of the VA, and it's funny because I actually do get a prescription from the VA today that helps me sleep. Separate story. But it's actually that I've gotten it through, not through the VA, through other channels around the VA to get to better medicine. But even then, in the case of that, I was given 5 prescriptions, and 3 of them had suicide listed as side effects. Suicide or suicidal ideations as side effects of the drugs they were trying to give me to help me sleep at the VA. 5-minute conversation with a shrink, no getting to know me or community involvement or any other kind of therapy or anything. Just here's 5 prescriptions, boom. And I walked out of there, a little brown paper bag, and I was like, you know what? This is nuts. There's no way. I mean, to me, just as a patient in general, of being a conscientious patient, when a doctor gives you a prescription, I do the research. I read it and I start taking a medication if I'm going to start taking it, kind of in isolation, and see what effect it's going to have on me. If it's going to mess with something else I'm using, or if it's going to, do this. You take 5 prescriptions at once, you have no idea what that's going to do to your head. And I know this is making the connection to the bigger issue all of a sudden, but think about 22 veteran suicides a day. Now, a lot of people try to contextualize that and say, well, compared to the civilian rate, well, it's not like new vets coming home with PTSD, it's older vets, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to blow this up with some pull at the heartstrings, like, oh yes, we have to do something. But yeah, we do have to do something, because it's freaking insane how veterans are handled in the mental health care system through the VA. In a lot of cases, guys who are in my situation don't have the support of friends and a community of veterans and aside from all the other political stuff mixed in with Iraq Veterans Against the War, it was a loving, supportive community of veterans who had no problem saying, it doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal, you should do what's good for you. And so I had access to cannabis. And it might be a bit of a stretch, but I can't say that cannabis definitely saved my life, but it might have, because if I didn't have access to cannabis and I was instead using those prescriptions, yeah, I could have gone down a very dark path with those, and as a lot of veterans are still doing today. And so I want to provide that opportunity for every veteran in America. And a big part of Homefront Battle Buddies is the online organizing and the advocacy, and just telling veterans, like, please, please, please don't just trust the VA doctors without question. Please, please, please consider the alternatives. Please, please, please value your life and know that there are Americans out there who want to help you when the government has failed you. And in so many ways, it's not even arguable at this point. Has the government failed the American veterans community? Yeah, no kidding. So for all the ways the government has failed us, eventually with in-person retreats and every alternative therapy available with Homefront Battle Buddies, we want to serve America's veterans that way and make sure ultimately that we're the last generation of combat veterans the world ever knows, because we believe that empowering veterans means empowering us to tell our stories and to make sure that America and the world learn the lessons of our experience. And so while as an organization we are apolitical, obviously I bring my political motivation into this. I believe this is important, not just because I want it, not just because it's community service, but it's priority for me because I think it's an important struggle for everyone. And the model that we're creating for access to alternative therapies with retreats is, as we talked about, with giving people that safe space. I hate to do this, safe space. Yeah, I'm not, no. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. No, but the comfortable space to, yeah, God, the left stole the word safe space, like a term. I can't say safe space without it invoking all that other nonsense. But yeah, to create a comfortable space for veterans to experiment with cannabis, with psilocybin, with MDMA, with ketamine, everything that we can safely make available here. As a nonprofit, we're just a facilitator, but that's what we're facilitating here. And we want to empower veterans to explore everything that's available. And if veterans don't have the ability to do this, if we can't fight for and establish the right that veterans have the right, what chance do the rest of y'all have as second-class citizens in the eyes of the state to enjoy your freedom? And I think that as a society as a whole, this isn't just a fight for veterans by veterans, but I hope that everybody who believes in freedom sees the value in using veterans as sort of the battering ram to knock down the remainder of the war on drugs.
Adam, one of the things you were going off, and I started to write down some notes here, that it really just sparked something, because we all just went through this COVID-19 over the past almost 2 years now.
Wait, we're through it? Is it over?
Are we? I don't know. Well, and I'm looking right now at, veterans, right? You were talking about the lack of community, the lack of the ability to talk to people who are experiencing the similar things. And I'm only guessing, but I would love to hear your perspective. I can only guess that this has only been exacerbated with COVID-19, veterans feeling isolated. Okay, can you dig into that?
Yeah. I can't say it's been good for veterans during this time, especially for veteran suicides. One of the things that, again, staying away from anything that because I have very strong political opinions about COVID and everything else. I'll kind of keep out of this. But one of the things that I think is universally frustrating about the situation with COVID is the isolation and the lack of understanding of data, because data is being withheld. So we only have a vague sense of how bad things are for Americans as a whole in terms of mental health, with COVID lockdowns, shutdowns, and the ongoing economic hardships around it. A lot of veterans, like myself, on disability from the VA, at least have some stable income during this time, but the isolation has not been good. And one of the things that I'm concerned with is the misreporting of statistics. And I know this is on the edge of the political, but because a lot of deaths are being falsely attributed to COVID. You know, people who test positive for COVID are listed as COVID deaths. We're actually seeing the other things that veterans die from, like suicides, not being properly counted, not being really accounted for and addressed in all of this. A lot of veterans are, you know, in the cavalier category of attitudes towards COVID, being, you know, relatively young and healthy. And, you know, I've been exposed to so much and I've been shot up with so much, whatever, it doesn't matter, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I think, you know, a lot of veterans are able to maintain that. But even for me during this time, it's like, wait, now going to the VA is that much more of a pain in the butt. Like, really, I got to go through COVID hoops, and I got to wear a mask, and I got to wait longer. And because I know that sounds like silly, you know, kind of just little aggravating stuff. But for veterans who are already, you know, very reluctant to use the VA, it's like one more big thing we got to deal with. And I will say one of the things I'll give a shout out, and this is partly for the sake of Homefront Battle Buddies here in northern Arizona near Ashford. We have an amazing independent clinic in town called Alchemy Apothecary with a registered nurse, Daniel Knight, and he does an incredible job. And so I'm hooked up with him through the VA, where the VA pays for me to go see him as an independent provider. And that's one of the things that we want to do, especially during this time, is help veterans navigate around some of those hurdles and find better ways. Because there's, you know, it's a lot of this is marginal stuff, and it sounds like it's not a big deal, but in the aggregate, it really is. So when you say, like, you know, there are 22 veteran suicides a day, well, how many of those could have been prevented if those guys had just had better access to mental health interventions 3 years prior? You know, it's not like, oh, well, the VA sucks so bad he killed himself, but it's like, well, he was dealing with depression and then alcoholism, and they had this thing at the VA, but he was on a wait list, and then he got put off, and then this other thing happened with his family, and then COVID hit, and then he lost that last bit of support, and then he gave up and committed suicide. You know, it's a lot of contributing factors like that. And right now, the VA is a source of a lot of headache and frustration. And COVID didn't make it any better. So all the more important now than ever before to create this sense of community of veterans outside of official channels. Absolutely.
I go back to my day job. So I'm a sales executive here in the greater telecom cybersecurity world. And one of the things that we focus on is making it easier for medium to large businesses to access cybersecurity solutions, because the threats that are out there are so severe and they've been increasing exponentially. So I look at it, makes sense from the business perspective. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to get the services, in this case, the cybersecurity solutions they need. But look at veterans, and to your point, Adam, it's
well,
so
if you're government and you don't have any competition, screw the customers, right?
Well, and that's the part of the problem, is that we don't have that incentive in place to really have these alternatives. And that's why what you're doing with Homefront Battle Buddies is so important. So let's dig into creating these easier to access alternative solutions to veterans. So if I'm a veteran, I'm looking for help, and I'm going to Homefront Battle Buddies, what can I expect to experience when I start off step one?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, we are very new as an organization. And right now, we only really have one active program for vets that come to us, and that's our internship residency program, as we build out our facilities and our organization to be able to provide the complete array of services that are part of the Homefront Battle Buddies vision. Right now, we have an awesome program director with Ed Vallejo here, who's an Army veteran himself from the Vietnam era, just post-Vietnam, and he is overseeing interns who come here who want to live and work and enjoy sort of the non-program benefits of the facility and what Homefront Battle Buddies has to offer. Once we get established, we already have a phone number. You can look it up. It's a Google Voice number that goes to Ed's phone. I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head. Eventually, we'll have 1-800 Homefront Battle Buddies or something, right? But you can go to homefrontbattlebuddies.org. You can look all this stuff up. You can get in contact with us. And what we want to offer is something with two things that are really unique in the realm of veteran service organizations right now. And some of the stuff we're talking about isn't that unique. Like, we want to offer a comprehensive benefits consulting program, first of all, so you can call. And right now, Ed and I are going through the initial training and developing this program to be able to do this, to run a hotline as Homefront Battle Buddies, so that you can call up and say, hey, I'm a veteran, run down the list for me, help me figure out everything I'm eligible for, that I'm entitled to as a veteran, according to the government, according to non-government organizations, according to legal privileges, according whatever, and help people go through every single thing that might be applicable to them. And there are different organizations doing their own versions of this. We think that because we are approaching this from a libertarian understanding of government, we are going to be uniquely capable of providing something that is more comprehensive. For example, you call the VA, yeah, they'll give you everything the VA offers, and they'll send you to some other people. But are they going to tell you every single tax break that you're entitled to, or home loan opportunity, or veteran benefit that comes with something outside? They'll tell you can get you get a free meal at Applebee's on Veterans Day, and they'll tell you stuff like that. But we want to dig into the bigger stuff in terms of benefits consulting, like and showing people all the little loopholes and tricks in working the system, like with Alchemy Apothecary here. I wouldn't have known that this was an option if I hadn't seen the bulletin board here in town in Ashford, and then pursued it and figured out the process, with their help. And then, had to navigate the VA, say, pay them, and so they can take care of me, instead of me having to go to the VA hospital that in our case is an hour away. So benefits consulting, right now we're just getting started on that, but I think that's something that we can provide in a unique, empowering way that really no one else can, or no one else is currently. And even if they are, there's not enough of it. Second thing here, with the online services and community, we're going to be creating a forum online, and that sort of next round of fundraising, next round. By the way, our website is set up, homefrontbattlebuddies.org, and you can donate there. We are a registered, licensed to operate as a nonprofit for tax deduction purposes, 501c3. So anybody who can donate. We also want to help people, I should say, take tax deductions with this. Of course, we don't want people to pay any more in taxes than they absolutely have to, which really should be zero. But again, veering into the political here. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, right now we're building a gym and a greenhouse on the lower level of our property here. We have 10 acres in the mountains in Arizona near Ashford. So anything that people want to donate or contribute to building the facility, we want to give you the receipts for tax write-offs, deductions, et cetera, et cetera. So while we're doing this, the next building out the online organization includes building out a forum. And it's not just, hey, put up a bulletin board, make it look like Ron Paul forums, and if you build it, they will come. No, it's a serious start of an online community that means having moderators and regular content and people there from our organization who are helping people with their questions. And then it's a forum for veterans to come. And part of the unique value of this, because there's a lot of competition in this space, and we're not pretending that everything we're doing is brand new from the ground up. But we're hoping that with an online forum like that, specifically with the intent of censorship-free, pursuing alternative therapies, no restrictions. We as a 501c3, we follow the law precisely, right? We don't want to compromise our 501c3 status, but we facilitate veterans doing and talking about illegal things. And we are happy to say that, even from a harm reduction perspective, we are able to do that legally. And so we are fostering that conversation where veterans can discuss cannabis, although at this point, it's more about delivering that and empowering veterans to use it in a practical way. But MDMA, psilocybin, ketamine, anything else they want to discuss, we want to encourage that. So homefrontbattlebuddies.org, we're going to be building out a forum there in virtual programs. One of the things that a lot of veterans have found beneficial, myself included, when I got back and when I was first getting involved with Iraq Veterans Against the War, there was a lot of creative writing, and there was a lot of art therapy is an important means of expression. This really gets to, for me, what's foundational to this experience is talk therapy, because it was so important to me. By the way, I know I'm going over a lot and going back here. Sidebar: historical origin of the brand Homefront Battle Buddies. I came up with that when I was active with Iraq Veterans Against the War in Washington, D.C. And Homefront Battle Buddies was our weekly peer support group therapy talk session. And a big part of getting over PTSD for veterans is just taking things that are in your subconscious and rattling around and controlling and affecting you in ways that you don't want and understand, taking it and just articulating it so that it can be front and center in your conscious mind for you to be able to process. And art and creative writing is often a way to get to things that you didn't know were there, or that you really have to dig and marinate and express through art to be able to get to come out in that same therapeutic process. So creative writing is a program online with Homefront Battle Buddies, and publishing. We're going to be publishing my as of yet unreleased war memoir as one of the first books with the Homefront Battle Buddies publishing program. So we have that to look forward to as we get involved with more online organization, and we get to staff up some more. But then the sort of crown jewel of the services that we are offering with Homefront Battle Buddies is the week-long retreats. And this is a model we're still developing, because it's not something that we take lightly. To say, hey, yeah, come for a week and we encourage you to do whatever crazy drugs you want to do. No, that's not what we're talking about. It is going to be, like I said, a very safe space, comfortable space for experimentation. So for veterans who maybe have never even smoked cannabis, to be able to come out for a week and say, hey, we've got an all expenses paid trip for you. There's going to be a cannabis caterer there who's going to give you, every possible form of cannabis that you could ingest, as well as give you some coaching and how to use it. And you have a week with no responsibilities, and you have people looking out for you. And so you can figure out a way to use it to your benefit. And similarly, to the extent that we can with doctors, a lot of ketamine is already being administered in clinics all across the United States as ketamine therapy for depression. And with medical supervision, we want to be able to offer that here as well in our 1 week retreats. So going back to where we are now, we're just starting to get our website fully organized. It's really coming together beautifully. We've got our board of directors, we've got all of our paperwork, and as we are building out the facility, which we just planned out the development here, which is very exciting. Thank you for putting up the website there. You can see some of the existing structures we've got here, and that picture there on the homepage is from our board members retreat from a couple months ago. So we just plotted out where we're going to put a gym and a greenhouse and the great hall, the barracks building, the lodge. I guess we're probably going to call it the lodge for Homefront Battle Buddies, which will be a big meeting room with a kitchen attached or as part of that, and 12 comfortable dorm rooms is what we're calling them, dorm rooms essentially, in terms of functionality, but safe rooms that like they're thermal mass, mostly soundproof, very comfortable spaces that allow our guests to do whatever they need to do here to get the most out of their week-long retreat experience with Homefront Battle Buddies.
Adam, it's so great, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. And obviously, what you guys are doing over at Homefront Battle Buddies is so important. And I think right now what we're seeing is people are looking for solutions. And this is why I'm so thankful to do what I'm doing and to have the conversations that we're having right now, because I think you have far too many people who've only looked at the only real option being complain. Woe is me. And you're actually giving solutions and showing people that there's a path forward, and you don't have to just sit and complain about how things are. You can build the solutions in the future you want to see. So with that being said, Absolutely. I want to give you a platform here as we wrap up. What would be your direct pitch to the veterans who are listening today? What would you want them to know?
There's a difference between being a warrior and a soldier. And while we as veterans are all at some level warriors who volunteered to put our lives on the line to defend our fellow Americans, that noble spirit was perverted into being soldiers, warriors for hire. While a warrior is someone who is willing to put their life on the line to do the right thing, a soldier is someone who kills for politicians or helps in the larger organizational machinery to do that. This country still needs its warriors. We don't need any more soldiers, but we need you to be the best warrior that you can be to serve your country, to serve humanity even. And right now, there are so many of us who have been disempowered by our military experiences. And Homefront Battle Buddies is one way that I hope we can reclaim our own individual spirit as warriors, so that as a community, as a warrior class in America, we can go back into service of our communities, of our nation, of humanity, and make the world a more righteous place, a more peaceful place, a more just place. And that has to start from being the change that you want to see. So I hope you'll join us, homefrontbattlebuddies.org. You can sign up there to volunteer, to donate, to be a part of our current internship/residency program to help build the facility and the vision for this organization to do everything that I have laid out that we know is necessary to make sure that the world learns the lessons, as painful as they may be, that we have learned ourselves through our experience with militarism, and ensure that we are the last generation of combat veterans the world ever knows, and that the warrior class is restored from a place of serving politicians to nobly serving the people. So I hope you'll join me in that. Again, homefrontbattlebuddies.org. Brian, thank you for the opportunity. If there are any veterans who are listening, please check us out. Send me an email. You can email homefrontbattlebuddies@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter @HomefrontBB. You can donate on the website. If anybody wants to contribute, if you want to get involved in any other way, please reach out. We are a new organization. We need all the help we can get right now. And we are looking to grow. We are looking to get more people involved. So again, Brian, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience today.
Awesome. All right, Adam Kokesh, we will include all the links in the show notes. So folks, if you want to go ahead and follow Adam to continue the conversation, you can go there. Also, if you want to go ahead and support the awesome organization that is, yes, in fact, Homefront Battle Buddies. Yes, I'll be included. Hit the artwork in your show notes. It'll bring you right to briannicholsshow.com, where you'll find today's episode plus all 370 plus other episodes, including the transcription of today's episode. With that being said, Adam Kokesh, thanks for joining the program.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.